Hello, everyone, and welcome into the grand finals of Dio's Bizarre Holiday Singles. We're here for the Tier 1 grand finals between Welter and NINERIK. It's going to be a good match. Welter having beaten NINERIK earlier on in the bracket stage during the quarterfinals, also knocking down a secret box in the winners finals. A secret box, unfortunately, having to FF due to some PC issues along with IRL circumstances, and so NINERIK making it through the losers grand finals and into the grand finals here versus Welter for a rematch once again on the hardest map pool in the tournament. I am Dio, I am the host, I am one of the map poolers, I am one of your streamers and commentators alongside Sad Shiba and Gammy for this grand finals. How's it going, Gammy?
Hi. Very excited to be here. It's not every day that, you see such a stacked match and on such a difficult pool. I think this match will be absolutely electric. Welter and NINERIK, two of the best tournament players in the scene right now. So yeah, it's just a good time. It might be 12 a.m., but I am totally ready to lay it down and hopefully give some hype comms, bring some hype comms to the table.
Hello, yeah, no, I'm also really excited. I mean, this is probably the first time I've been casting on such an absurdly ludicrous map pool in terms of difficulty. This one is honestly kind of absurd. I see a 10-star number 5, like, hello? I've casted MGC, I've casted some stupidly hard map pools, and this one it's unlike any other. That being said, though, the finalists in this one are definitely speaking of doubt in this, right? Both of these guys are mechanical demons here, although both have their respective strengths. You're particularly looking at Welter with that incredible well-roundedness on top of that hard rock capability. With NINERIK, although maybe a little more limited generally, you're going to be seeing a lot more of control and tech coming out from him, I believe, on top of those raw tapping mechanics. And particularly, I'm curious on how he's going to feel on those hard rock maps, because I feel like although NINERIK is a very strong, solid hard rock player, I feel like Welter's kind of a staple hard rock player in this tournament scene. So I'm curious on how that's going to match up and whether NINERIK is going to be confident enough to go into that himself. In fact, he's going to get rid of that No More 3 to start this off.
Yeah, I'm a little sad to see Nomad 3 go. One of my favorite songs in the pool, unfortunately, but it does make sense. And as for Welter, of course, the Nomad 5 and the DT2 bans do make a lot of sense here. Those are the two most tapping-focused maps in the pool, Senseless Massacre and Hydra Heteromycin. I will say, Welter had some really, really strong scores, especially on hard rock tech last week. So I'm going to be a little surprised if we see either or both of the Nomad 4 and the hard rock 3 left up in this pool, just because of how strong some of Welter's scores were last week on those types of maps. And as you said, this is a really, really difficult pool. It is the Nomad 1 target star rating when we were pulling this was 9.5 stars, which makes the star rating vary anywhere from about 6 stars in the case of some of the hidden maps to above 10 stars in the case of Nomad 5. And there goes the Nomad 4, which I think is a great ban here for NINERIK. Welter is an incredibly good tech player, even at this star rating. NINERIK, obviously, also a very good hard rock player, but a lot of his strength, I think, is going to be found more in stuff like the hard rock 2, things like the hard rock 4, perhaps, and some of the DTs. And we are actually getting started with the longest pick in the pool, and one of the most gimmicky maps that we have pooled throughout the entire tournament, Nomad 7, Nor by Fonzin. This is the Aspire map. This is the one that you are thinking of. It is the debug version, right? So it is playable, but that star rating down in the bottom corner, bottom middle really, should tell you what you need to know about this. This is a gameplay mechanics test of the highest level between these two players on a map that is extremely difficult to deal with in nearly every aspect.
Yeah, 100%. Immediately, we're gonna get into the Nomad 7. This map is 9 minutes long, so grab your popcorn. Let's get ready for a ride. Of course, as you can see, we're gonna kickstart the map with a bunch of interesting sliders. And, these sliders will just keep on coming throughout the entire map. And overall, I think it's gonna be really interesting to see how these players perform on this map. 2B maps are not something that you see very often, at least in tournaments. So Yeah, I mean, at least for me, I personally cannot predict how this map will go whatsoever.
No, I mean, I think what's important to know about this map is that generally this first bit is where everybody will consistently be missing on combo. Scatter breaks are going to be really prevalent. You're not really going to be focusing much on these significant leads for a good while in this map. But there is going to be a stage, I don't exactly remember at what point of this map. I believe maybe past the first 2/3 of the map, or maybe halfway through, is when we're going to be actually seeing mapping that isn't 71 stars and actually difficult but playable, which is going to be where that really starts to matter. So although we've got a few bits here that are a little bit more important to note, combo game is not really the thing that you should be looking at here. It is going to be that accuracy. Once combo does start to stack up a little bit more, that's when the combo game that will be coming through later during the more playable sections are going to matter the most here. So thankfully towards the start, NINERIK having a small lead, but again, on very tiny margins, and I'm willing to bet it's going to be closing the longer this map runs, as you know, the less of a decrease in AC you'll get over time, it's going to start catching up for both players.
Yeah, 100%. Already you can see the maps like getting more and more playable as we go. I mean, that combo, we have hit past the 100 combo mark, and we're just gonna jump straight into it. Welter gonna be the first one to find a miss alongside NINERIK, both of them trading back and forth, keeping that scoreline close, but I mean, that score is only a measly 1.7k, so really it's still anybody's game, as you mentioned before, Shiba. It's that accuracy that's playing in favor of NINERIK right now. We get into the 3D pattern, as crazy as it sounds, and we are met Dio jump scare, and we are met with once again another funky slider. But yeah, as of right now, NINERIK holding that 4% act lead, going to hold a slight score lead against Welter, but I mean, we are only past the quarter mark of the map. There is still about more than 6 minutes of the map left, if I'm not mistaken, and there is going to be a lot more funkiness in the map where that came from. We get into the invisible circles, and NINERIK is just going to continue to hold. It's clear to see that they practice this.
Yeah, another point that I was going to say is that there are invisible nodes on this map, and you know, this is one of the things where you have to study, brother. If you know some of these specific patterns here, if you know what's coming at you on the map, this is a ginormous advantage here. Granted, you still only see a 3,000 score lead in favor of NINERIK, but that's a 6% act lead with a pretty massive combo that Welter just doesn't have, purely because he doesn't have the practice on this map just yet. And you know, soon again, we're going to be going back to a bit of a more playable section, hopefully. I don't exactly remember at which point, but soon TM, I'll say. And, you know, with that being said, this advantage from NINERIK is really huge. And this bit, relatively impossible unless you've studied it really, really hard. And thankfully, again, it's another deal of NINERIK just being the more experienced player.
Goodness.
Gaining this combo, hitting the perfect stacks, knowing exactly what the rhythm is. This is beautiful.
No! Yeah, beautiful indeed. It's clear to see that NINERIK has done his homework because he is acing this test right now. That scoreline has grown to about a, what, 5k score lead? And while that might not seem like much on paper, it's important to remember that that's basically doubling Welter's score right now. And I mean, it's clear to see that there is just well, I would say comfort, but really no player is comfortable on this map. But comparatively so, NINERIK's a lot more comfortable on this map, being able to hit these patterns a lot better than Welter, at least as we get into this next, you know, quote-unquote combo section of the map. And yeah, overall, I mean, that's not to mention the accuracy as well that has grown to about, you know, a 7% act lead, just very, very solid across the board from NINERIK right now, and they are comfortably in the driver's seat to take this point. Really, I think just the preparation that NINERIK has put in before they came into this map is really what's just guaranteeing their point, and it's quite clear to see why they decided to open up with this pick.
And this is that free combo section that you were talking about, Shiba. This is the start of that relatively easy section. There's still a lot of difficult patterns in this part, obviously, but this part is far easier than some of the stuff preceding it, and the fact that NINERIK is able to combo this early part of it is really huge for extending that score lead.
Yeah, no. I agree. I mean, at this point, you can get a lot of combo in this section as well. There's a decent amount of time in here. I believe you can get about, I'd say around 1,000 combo, I believe, as long as you are completely aware of it. Unfortunately, it does slip a little bit on that slider there, but that being said, still a lot of combo established. No, wait, no, that was Bancho, I believe, actually. NINERIK still has that combo intact. I believe these sliders might be a little buggy, so we have to just wait a little bit to see if Bancho catches up. But as I said, you can get a lot of combo in these sections as long as you know exactly what's coming out. And NINERIK just knows everything, man. And that combo lead is too big. I mean, this is a good opening pick. Clearly a surprise opening to get the momentum and shift it for NINERIK.
Yeah, definitely. NINERIK dropping the FU while this lollipop slider is playing. And I mean, as you mentioned, fun. He's not toxic. He's not toxic, chat. He's not toxic.
Yeah.
He's not toxic, chat. No toxicity. But yeah, NINERIK's accuracy has grown from what was originally a 60% accuracy to an 81%, and I mean, it just goes to show they were so much more well prepared for this map overall. And I mean, there's really nothing Welter can do at this point. The patterns that crash your PC. I mean, Welter might win if, you know, NINERIK's PC just crashes from this section, because I remember looking at this map through the editor and it completely blowing it up. But anyways, that aside, I mean, yeah, just enjoy the rest of the map, I guess.
I mean, with Welter missing on that 400 combo, I don't even think he can win if NINERIK crashes his PC, because this ending is soon going to be gone, and we're going to be going back to those instant combo crashing patterns here. With the spinner coming through, NINERIK, like I said, approaching that 1,000 combo mark. I believe you can get even more. I believe the highest combo on this map is from I'm a Fancy Lad in solo, which is about 1,400 combo. So if NINERIK can rival that, that'll be very, very nice for him. But I don't think it even matters at this rate. This pair, once again, very hittable, very much playable, but still difficult. But NINERIK is the one to proven to study, and that is a Bancho miss again. There's going to be too many Bancho misses here. You're just going to have to just hope it's correct, and we'll just find out the hard way.
You're just guessing. We're really in the dark right now. But yeah, I really love this opening pick. It's something that, you know, you just want to get out of the way. You want to get the super long map out of the way. You want to put the momentum in your favor. Really catch your opponent off guard with this incredibly dominant showing on this NOMOD 7. And yeah, really like the strats coming in from NINERIK right now, and it's gonna be interesting to see how much NINERIK can use this to their advantage, or at least use this win to gain that momentum on the board.
Yeah, this is very much a study-heavy map. You know, if you're the one who's willing to practice this and get to know it so you have that map purely to your advantage, it's a free point. And if NINERIK wants to take that time to guarantee himself a free point by practicing this 9-minute-long masterpiece, we'll call it.
Respect.
It's respectable, yeah, for sure.
100%. Yeah, but as we draw to a close, I really don't think there's much left to be said about the map. We have waited about 9 minutes for the end of the map at this point. 9 minutes of which NINERIK has completely dominated. And yeah, that is going to be the NOMOD 7.
Round of applause there for NINERIK on that 100k. Nice cute way to close it out. Oh, Malteser shout out there. Shout out Malteser if you're in chat. Yeah. My favorite. And
indeed.
Yeah, good one from NINERIK. Planned, studied, very well done. Very close to 1k combo. And that's an easy pocket pick to start this off for him.
And that also opens up the question, does Welter leave this open if we go to bracket reset? Right? Like, is this any better than leaving open NOMOD 5 or DT2? Maybe you have a better chance on NOMOD 5 or DT2 than you do on this map without the practice, right? So that opens up an interesting bit of strategy for the bracket reset if we get there. Because suddenly it's not so clear that NOMOD 5 DT2 are actually the best bans, since those maps are still more accessible without heavy practice than something like Snore. So let's go ahead and see what Welter's first pick is going to be here. I'm curious to see exactly what he's going to go with, but looking at the reaction here, maybe some of that hard rock tech, maybe something a little bit more practice heavy, given the finally. Although might have just been waiting for the map to be over.
Mayhaps, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised one bit, honestly. I mean, listen, if you're Welter, I'd say generally you have quite a bit of options. The only maps that I would say you'd want to avoid, at least, not to a degree where you stay away from it with a 10-foot pole. More maps that you don't want to have as an opening pick is probably that No Mod 1, No Mod 2, the Hard Rock 2 and Hard Rock 4, like you mentioned before, and any of the DTs. You can maybe go into a hidden map if you wanted to. I'm not really sure how Welter would feel on the reading against NINERIK, but I believe probably confident enough to maybe prefer it. If not, a comfort pick on one of the non-NINERIK favored Hard Rock maps are also a good, safe opener. But I'm really curious, honestly, because you see that No Mod 3 and No Mod 4 ban. Do you go into the Hard Rock tech to kind of go with a very bombastic start, or do you save that opening pick for later when stakes start to get a little higher? Or do you even go for hidden? I'm not sure. What do you think of Welter's hidden prowess against NINERIK, Dio? What are your thoughts on that?
I feel like these two are pretty even on hidden, honestly. Just looking at the scores from previous weeks and especially finals, there doesn't seem to be a huge difference between their scores on a lot of these hidden picks. Neither of them particularly strong or particularly weak on lots of hiddens. But it looks like Welter is perhaps not...
That's all right.
Hasn't given his pick. It looks like chat is broken for him, according to somebody in Twitch chat. So maybe he's getting Bancho lagged. Let's see here. He has picked Hard Rock 3. He picked Hard Rock 3 instantly. I have a screenshot from in his game. If we can get probably Hard Rock 3 put on then. But he does need to be able to rejoin the lobby, so get him kicked out and then rejoined in. And yeah, I think the Hard Rock 3 is a great pick here. It is a map that is really, really alt tech heavy. 152 BPM, 8.7 star alt tech, which is quite hard, very hard. And it is going to be that Hard Rock 3 after all. This is a map with tons of really tricky patterns. If you know Miss Magius high star rating mapping, this is just a lower BPM, but still extremely high star version of that kind of style, right? It's still 8.1 stars even before Hard Rock. So this is it's gonna be a difficult one.
Yeah, this is a scary aim and control tech hybrid, man. You've got loads of those sporadic 1-2 jumps. You've got those slider patterns. You've got a lot of things in this map that NINERIK has showed quite a bit of fear into, on top of just the fact that Welter is an incredible tech and Hard Rock player. It's just a dream combination of skill sets that Welter has at his disposal on this map, and it seems like he is going to be opting into that idealized opening pick to just get himself that straight up point on the board. And I'm not surprised at all to see this come through. 2 minutes long, 152 BPM, but don't let that deceive you. It is disgustingly difficult, and you have plenty of patterns that can trip you up.
Yeah, speaking of patterns that can trip you up, we immediately open up the map with the 1-2s that immediately catch some of these players off guard. This is a very, very short map, so you have to constantly be on your toes. The difficulty of this map is also very dense, very consistently challenging throughout its entirety. Not to mention, as you get into the, as we get slightly deeper into the KIs, you start to see all of these incredibly large reverse slider patterns. I mean, as I'm talking right now, nobody in the lobby is able to get any sort of combo on the board. Really, it's just Welter's accuracy that is playing in their favor right now.
Yeah, and these patterns are not really letting up, right? It's the accuracy for Welter, but it's also just less consistent combo for NINERIK and a bit more chain misses here and there. That pattern as well, throwing off the combo for both players, and everything evened up once again. But there's another break to come through for NINERIK that is not answered by Welter. And again, yes, it's the accuracy, but it's just slightly more consistent combo for Welter, slightly fewer breaks that continue to help build this score lead. Just under 30k now for Welter.
This map is also very short, as I mentioned before, only 2 minutes long, so we are already in the last third. Time is running out for NINERIK to make the comeback. As you get into the last drop, Welter does find a miss, which does give NINERIK quite a bit of score lead, but NINERIK falls short. And as you get into the jumps, nobody in the lobby is able to hit that whatsoever. We close into the last quarter of the map. 20k score lead in favor of Welter right now. And as you mentioned, Dio, the overall larger combos that Welter was able to hold throughout the map is really what's giving them that advantage as we go into the last diff spike of the map. And with that, I think Welter will be taking this Hard Rock 3-point rather comfortably, or comparatively comfortably. And yeah, both players opening up the match, winning their own picks. A very, very explosive start to the match. You love to see it.
And it's a lot of those 1-2 patterns as well. Those kind of back and forth mixes between anti-aim and super high spacing ult that really bring the score lead into Welter's favor there, as we get pretty much an instant DT3 from NINERIK here. Okashi no Okoko by Snail's House. This is a speed map. Believe it or not, double Fonzen right in a row for NINERIK, but this is a speed map. This is 285 BPM, AR 10.3, somewhat gimmicky speed, a little bit of finger control, a little bit of slider aim control, but the main point of difficulty in this, definitely the 285 BPM bursts in this map, and so should be a good pick for NINERIK, even in spite of some of the other things going on, just because you do really need to be solid on the high BPM speed in order for this map to be a good pick for you.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, like, this map has a lot of skill set variety in this, even though it is primarily a speed map, but that number of 285 is that factor that makes NINERIK so confident picking this. It is an exclusive number, you can say, right? And only the fastest of the fastest can really keep up. And although Welter most likely capable to a certain degree, once these plans start getting more complex, that's where the comfort game for NINERIK is going to start kicking in on this map. And it's going to be where later on, where things get a little bit more difficult, a little bit more on the control side, it's going to be where NINERIK is going to be able to keep up to a more consistent level. And you're already seeing it here. Welter, after doing very good on this intro, is now starting to crumble here, losing combo consistently and dropping a bit more AC as well.
Yep. Even so, the scoreline is still relatively close, with the accuracy being relatively close as well. But as we get into the drop, this is where we should expect to start seeing that comfort from NINERIK shine brighter. And as you can see, with more and more ag drops coming in from Welter, NINERIK's just able to hold that much more accuracy on this section. And this is a very short map, similar to the last one. We're already in the last third of the map. And yeah, I mean, NINERIK, widely regarded as one of the best tournament speed players of all time, and it is on full display right now. As we get into the last quarter of the map, there is really nothing Welter can do. That score might flicker, but overall NINERIK just has that much more accuracy, that much more consistency to play around with, and NINERIK will put another point on the board on this DD3. Very, very solid pick once again.
Yeah. I mean, simply put, the map is very, very short. So any significant disadvantage super early on into the map is just going to snowball into a really, really difficult comebacks opportunity, right? Once you have that small advantage about halfway through the map, you only have half of the map left to go, and your score is going to be so low from how hard this map is that you're not going to be able to catch up. You are already capped to such an absurdly low degree. So it is a difficult situation there for Welter on that D3, but it makes sense for NINERIK. The comfort was the calling point of this map, and it was very clearly emphasized, with Hard Rock 1 instantly bounced back here from Welter.
Yeah, this is the Hard Rock aim pick, and this is super high spacing, awkward aim for the most part. It is 8.5 stars almost before Hard Rock, which puts this up at about 9.2 stars after Hard Rock. And for a 196, 197 BPM map, you have to have some really messed up patterns to get to that kind of star rating. And most of the patterns on this are both jump aim and flow aim hybrid, with a little bit of awkward aim thrown in there as well. But again, if you know Miss Magius' style of mapping, especially for mechanics mapping, then you pretty much know what you're getting yourself into on this map. Where Can I Go by Renard. Let's see how both of the players do loading into this one. I will say, I like the Hard Rock 3 pick better than the Hard Rock 1 pick for Welter, just because with this being mostly mechanics, right? This is a pretty straightforward map. It doesn't have that kind of alt-tech hybrid feel to it that gave Welter, I think, a pretty big advantage on the last Hard Rock pick that we saw from him. So I think this is significantly more break-pointable for NINERIK than the previous pick that we saw from Welter. And so you're going to have to stay on your toes if you are Welter, but hitting the first stream there where NINERIK finds the chain miss is definitely a good start for him on this map.
Yep, 100%. I find it very cute how Welter and NINERIK picked Mismagius and Fungeon maps as their first 2 picks respectively. But moving on from that, Welter still holding that 300 combo and counting on the board. Finally goes down, but that is some good distance that they have cleared going into the first quarter of the map. Once again, we talk about comfort when it comes to these mechanics maps. Welter generally known to have a slight edge when it comes to at least mechanical aim. Meanwhile, NINERIK having that edge on the tapping. And as you can see, as we get into the flow aim sections here, this is where we are going to start seeing a lot more misses, a lot more egg drops coming in from both of these players. And Welter is still managing to maintain a 1% accuracy lead coming out of that stream section. And we get straight into another one. The flow aim in this section is so incredibly challenging. But, well, right now, Welter is still maintaining that lead, still staying ahead of NINERIK as we come into the second third of the map. Pardon me. And yeah, this map is very, very consistent. Yeah,
it's extremely consistent. He finally finds a slider break, but the fact that he was able to hold combo for so long is really impressive and helps build back that score lead to above 30k. Slightly under that 30k mark now for NINERIK. I see exactly the window for NINERIK closing as we get into the second half here, but this is a little bit of free combo. Unfortunately, a slider break for NINERIK right before we start up this next section of the map. Welter will miss in the middle of it, so now combo lead back to NINERIK, and this score lead is going down. It is now under 25k. That is still a decent margin for Welter here. That said, NINERIK just getting a lot of free combo during this section and continuing to bring down this score lead now to under 20k with a relatively free section there, but misses right after it ends. Welter does match the miss though, so it's going to be close here going into the ending with the sub 20k score lead for Welter, and NINERIK having been able to build back a lot of the accuracy, now pretty much tied in accuracy with Welter, and the combo pretty even for both players. That miss for NINERIK is very good for Welter going into the last quarter.
Yeah, NINERIK's window of opportunity might be narrow, but it is still open. That scoreline is still incredibly close. It is flickering around the 20k mark. Anything can happen going into this last quarter. It's really going to be up to who can hold that little bit of combo over the other. NINERIK holds just slightly over, and we get into the hardest section of the map. The cross-screen jumps, the sliders, they cover the entire map, and nobody is comfortable on this whatsoever. But it seems as though the early lead from Welter might just give them the slight edge as we come in to the last seconds of the map. The upside down heart comes in, and Welter, despite it being a bit dicey in the middle of the map, does emerge victorious on this Hard Rock 1.
I think what was like very scary to know about that one is that towards the very end, you not only did you have consistently difficult patterns there, but you also had a lot of those space streams, space bursts that had loads of chain miss potential. That 20k lead could have gone anywhere so many times, but thankfully there wasn't any significant moment where one player was struggling more than the other. It was an even trade. If one player chain missed one pattern, the other would trade the next. It was a constant trade there, and thankfully that was in the favor of Welter, but it really could have gone anywhere there, and that makes you a little bit worried for the NINERIK on some of your next future picks, right? NINERIK is going to go opt into that DT4 straight afterwards, but even in the future, Welter, I wouldn't be surprised to be a little bit hesitant on his next picks afterwards.
And this DT4 here, Foamy Sky Eternal City by Paranoid Void, mapped by Revo. Let's just look at the map stats real quick. CS6 AR 9.5. You know, that seems like a pretty normal map stat for Nomad, but this is DT. This is AR 10.7 CS6 Precision Hybrid. And it's also only 146 BPM after DT. There is a lot going on in this map. It is extremely tricky in terms of the rhythm control, in terms of the alt aim control and flow aim, and you add on to that it being incredibly high AR, being AR 9.5 plus DT, and this can just be a really, really tough map to deal with for a lot of people. Plus the BPM changes starting out at a pretty normal DT BPM and then moving into alt BPM range after the fact.
Yep. That's it. We are jumping straight into the map right now. NINERIK going to hold out with a slightly higher accuracy. But of course, this map, I believe, is very consistent in its difficulty. There's a lot of fast jumps and all hovering on the alt BPM. As you mentioned before, Dio, Welter does find a miss as well, which is going to give NINERIK some leg room to continue to push that lead more and more. And as Welter finds more misses, NINERIK with that accuracy and combo lead, although finally finding a miss, able to substantiate about 100k score difference. And that is as big as we've seen the score lead during this match. So yeah, definitely a very comfortable pick for NINERIK going into the second half.
Yeah, I mean, listen, at a map pool this absurdly difficult, the DT pool is very clearly all for NINERIK's disposal. You have so much absurd skill ceiling. 10.7 is a very high approach rate, and unless you are able to play some of the hardest maps in the game comfortably, this is a huge pain point for anybody, let alone some of the best players in the world. This is a crazily difficult map. And with that being said, you know, NINERIK accuracy is a huge key factor here. It's gaining by such a giant margin. This map's really short. It's a similar deal with that DT3, where although both players have a lot of struggling here, anyone who's a little bit more comfortable towards the later stages of the map, it's just going to spiral out of control, as everyone's score is so capped already. As we get into the ending, it's still a done deal. This is once again a NINERIK map. This map forces you to hesitate, forces you to stumble on your reading, on your tapping rhythm. But that being said, if you can read this, if you have the ceiling like NINERIK does, it's not nearly as difficult. Almost, in fact, yes, doubling Welter's score, just over 7,000.
Yeah, that is a very, very good score for NINERIK there. 330k on that map is nothing to scoff at. That is a very, very good score on that map. So really solid play for NINERIK. Solid pick for him as well. And, you know, we said the DT pool was basically NINERIK's. Well, there is one DT left open. That said, it's AR 8.5 and 9 stars. So the reading density on that map is the complete opposite of what we just saw. So we'll see if he wants to go into that, or if he goes into something else like the Nomad 2, for example, a little bit more tapping focused. Could also, again, open up the hidden pool, but neither of these players is really at an advantage on any of these hiddens, I feel like. So we may end up getting forced into some hidden later on. For now, though, both of these players still staying in the same mod category. Welter going to be going into the Hard Rock 4 Ragnarok by Graham versus Camellia, mapped by LCFC. This is speed tech in the Hard Rock pool. It is pretty much what you expect when you see high BPM and Camellia in the same map.
Yeah, man. Hard Rock 4. We mentioned it, and we did say potentially this was an NINERIK pick, but I feel like this is one of the more comfortable picks, reminiscent of kind of a well-balanced mech tech tiebreaker. You have a lot of options in this one. It's CS 4.2, which is a thing that's important to note here. It is going to be around, I believe, CS 5.6 or 5.7. Around
5.
there.
Very close.
5.5. Okay. Very close. Yeah. Numbers are hard. But regardless, I mean, I think both players very much capable on a map like this. It's a scary one, to say the least, right? It's very much a toss-up, I'd say, at least.
Yeah, I think going into this map, one thing that many people overlook is the length. This is a very, very long map, coming at 5 minutes long. As you mentioned, it's a very well-balanced, it would be a very well-balanced mech tech tiebreaker. But I think on a map as long as this, your nerves will definitely be at play. Just from an outsider's view, this map might seem to be a lot more accessible, at least in skill set. When you compare it to, you know, maybe the Hard Rock 1 or the Hard Rock 3 that we've seen before. but the nerves is definitely something that's going to play a very important role in determining the victor of this map. Yeah, with that said, we are getting into the map is starting to heat up. Right after this slow section, it's straight to the action. A lot of incredibly challenging bursts, a lot of incredibly challenging aim control in conjunction with your 234 BPM finger control, and overall it's just going to be an absolute nightmare for these players to hold. So let's see how they perform on Ragnarok.
Here we go into the first
Wait and
difficult
see.
section. Both players already finding those first couple of sets of slider breaks and misses. The accuracy giving NINERIK an advantage for now, but more chain misses coming out from him. Welter just barely holding on through a couple of these patterns, but able to keep the accuracy and the combo together. And now the score lead going back his way as well. But I think we're going to see quite a lot of trades like that throughout this map as... Again, after Hard Rock, this is 8.76 stars. There's a lot of time to find these misses, and another slider break comes through for NINERIK, so now a pretty significant combo lead for Welter during this next finger control section.
That's right. As of right now, the scoreline is relatively tied up, although Welter with that massive combo lead is looking to bring that scoreline more and more towards the left side. Accuracy-wise, both players are pretty evenly matched, and well, there is a lot of room for error, as you mentioned, Dio. So I would not say that Welter is anywhere near out of the clear. We have a bit of a slow section right now to sort of build up their combos. Both players holding very solid combos. Welter leading with that 700. NINERIK, however, waiting for Welter to give them that opportunity to make that comeback as we get into the next Mech-Tacky section of the map.
All of these streams in this section are mostly 1/3. You can see the triples are mostly the same 234 BPM, but a lot of the longer streams are 1/3.
Wow.
And there goes Welter on the slider break. NINERIK now, he's holding during this stream section. He has massive combo, but there's finally the slider break to come out. It's only a 20k score lead, but 20k on a 5-minute map is really difficult to claw back. So NINERIK would have to do major work in bringing back this score lead. Welter, though, finding another couple of misses in a row, dropping the accuracy down. 2% accuracy lead now for NINERIK, and the score lead only 7,500 points, 2/3 of the way into the map.
This is where the nerves start to come in. This is where they start to climb at an all-time high. We are about a third. We are 2/3 of the map through. Last third of the map. Both players have just seen the scoreline. They know that it's a mere 8k difference that separates their scores. And well, despite the fact that NINERIK might have been at a combo deficit in the earlier sections of the map, they now have the accuracy. The point is in their hands, and that scoreline does shift over to the right side. Last bus slider, last KI. Are they up for the challenge? Who will emerge on top? At the end of this KI, we will find out.
It's another couple of combo breaks in a row here for Welter. NINERIK slider breaks right afterwards. The score lead now just 12k in favor of NINERIK. Not even another slider break comes through for him. Welter able to hold through that section so far. More of these space bursts come out, and it's still the combo lead for Welter. Another slider break comes through for NINERIK. It's only 2k now, and Welter is going to take back the score lead despite the accuracy deficit here. Another couple of chain misses come through for both players. It swings the score lead back and forth, but it ends up just 3,500 in favor of Welter, slightly more now with more misses coming through from NINERIK. How long can Welter hold on to this barely tenuous score lead? It's not even 10,000 points, barely swinging back and forth between above and below 10k. A chain miss for Welter isn't enough. NINERIK holds through that stream. Can he bring it home?
Oh, it is so desperate. Both players are racing towards the end. Everybody throwing everything that they got towards the end. That's a 3k score margin that we are seeing. Welter finds a miss. NINERIK finds a miss. It is anybody's game. Last bus sliders, last chain miss, egg drops all across the board. But I think at the very end of the map, Welter, through thick and thin, by the skin of his teeth, will emerge victorious.
It's that last chain
Holy.
miss for NINERIK. It's that last chain miss for NINERIK that I think sealed it up there. You saw the score rocket up to 30K in favor of Welter, and those ending spinners, the last couple of patterns, brought it down to 16K. That is a massive lead that NINERIK could have had at the end of this map if he had not chain missed that last stream. But it's not meant to be, and Welter will convert successfully on that pick, albeit just barely. Largely, I think, due to that 1K combo from earlier on into the map.
Yeah, I mean, that on top of the very end, when you start to gain those combo games, when it starts to get really close back and forth, the accuracy scaling that NINERIK had before the chain misses were also a big boon to his score to make it so close, right? Generally, towards the end, you notice Welter, to a regular degree at least, holding a little bit more combo consistently, but NINERIK had a whole 2% accuracy in his favor, 96 to 94. That was a huge shutdown, right? And then after that, he just loses it over time, and then the chain miss just makes that even worse. And NINERIK is just throwing that away and shooting right into the next map here. And it is a whole different beast, this one is. I mean, good lord, it is an absurd reading check. Irumochi-chan's no mod 6, 7.55 stars, AR 7.6. As it is described in the Mappools comment, it is putting funfair on Adderall. You can put 3 doses of Adderall, a little bit of Walter White meth, and a little bit of steroids on top of that. It is a disgusting reading test. And it's simply whoever plays worse loses. This is neither of these guys' maps. Yeah, however, NINERIK just feels like he is the stronger player, even if they are both significantly weak on this.
Yeah, Fungent map into Fungent map into Fungent map. NINERIK really liking all of the Fungent maps in the pool and immediately going into a no mod 6. I mean, the flow on this map, the aim control required on this map, in itself is very, very challenging. But when you slap the AR 7.6 on this map, it just takes the difficulty and the density of this map to a whole nother level. Right now, I mean, if we just have to go back to the scores, I mean, NINERIK is holding that 13% accuracy lead on Welter, which is just going to keep that scoreline comfortably in their favor, or as comfortably as you can get. And really, this map is very, very consistent in its difficulty. Overall, it is just all of the Adderall putting funfair patterns scattered throughout the map. And really, if you can hit one of them, you can hit them all. But I mean, it's quite clear to see that nobody can really exercise any sort of comfort on this map whatsoever.
I think on top of the thing that makes this map so difficult is that the rhythm changes in this map are really sudden and really snappy. You just see suddenly you go into these really rapid bursts into rapid stacks, and then suddenly you get these snaps in between. It is a really messed up map. You have to have a degree in this map in order to have good combo in it. You know, it is a difficult one to learn, but even so, NINERIK deemed himself to be the one more comfortable and proving it so in spades. 36,000 score win with a
map.
really, really big AC lead, which is the big deal here. 77 to 63. Neither player having good scores, but that doesn't matter if you're the better player. You don't need to be the best. You just need to be better than your opponent. And NINERIK learned that lesson very early as he managed to win this one very well, very convincingly.
That's right.
And now, get the next pick for Welter. Are we going to see the last Hard Rock get picked by Welter 4 in a row? I honestly don't think so, because that map is CS9. And NINERIK, last weekend, in finals, on the CS9 No Mod 6, No Mod 6, had the only score above 200K, which was also 417K on the last map. So I don't think it's going to be that Hard Rock 2. I think that pick is actually a NINERIK pick. And instead, we go into No Mod 1, Dancing Kung Fu Nightcore Mix. Mapped by Nun1637. It's aim slot, baby.
Yeah, I mean, this is such a toss-up pick. It is literally just aim slot, respectful aim slot. It is everywhere, dude. I don't really know what else to add to this. You have those back and forth patterns. You have the classic comfortable sloppy patterns. You have the back and forth 1-2s. You have everything in this one. But that's all that's in it, right? You've got some cross-screen sections. You've got some of the normal comfort bits. And then it just hits you with these stupid long chain cross-screen cross patterns. It is as sloppy of a tournament aim map as you could expect. And so for me, I see this as kind of a risky pick here for Welter. NINERIK is starting to run away with versatility on this one, and I'm a little afraid of Welter's odds on this. This one to me just feels like a similar odd of like the Hard Rock 4, where, I mean, both players very much able to win. But, you know, if you're picking this kind of midway through the match, you're starting to get a little bit worried about long term, right?
That said, saw NINERIK right before this map started say mouse drift hell, and that's kind of a quality of a lot of not super well mapped maps, is that you know, they're not necessarily built with flow regulation in mind like a lot of other maps are. And that can be really, really bad for mouse players. That said, NINERIK was ahead at the moment, but no longer during this first PI time.
The mouse drift is so real for NINERIK right now. We are getting into another one of the KIs, another one of the aim slot, and we are just now coming into a more calm section of the map, or as calm as this map gets. As you can see, NINERIK finding a bunch of misses, a bunch of chain misses in that KI, giving Welter the accuracy and combo lead overall, which is going to give them some distance. But we jump straight back into the aim slot,
God,
and
man.
I mean, what am I even watching at this point? It's just aim. It's aim in my number one.
It is all aim all the time in this map, and Welter, he's doing quite a bit better during these sections. Finally, a couple of bursts come out in this map. They are pretty spaced, but I don't think that's going to be an issue for either of these players. They're only 232 BPM. It's not that big a deal for either of them. And yeah, both of them doing pretty well on this. But unfortunately for NINERIK, Welter is just way more comfortable here. 50k score lead for him into this ending section, and it's going to be really pretty much impossible for NINERIK to stage a comeback at this point, because this is absolutely ridiculous patterning here at the end. This is the hardest part of the map, full stop.
So funny how hard this is, bro.
Yeah, this is a real tournament number one. Thank you, chat.
Thank you, Dio. Thank you, Listia.
Thank you,
Poolers.
This was all me. You know they're not
Thank you,
pulling
Dio.
this. You know those two are not
Thank
pulling
you,
this.
Dio.
That's what I was saying.
Thank you for hosting. Thank you for pulling.
Phenomenal.
Finally, a real aim map. Finally, a real aim map.
This is what pullers have been demanding your respect.
You might as well just make this div name Mouse Drift Abuse. Like you
Drift
planned this.
Abuse.
You wanted Welter to have this one, didn't you, Dio?
I pulled this map like 5 weeks ago. All right,
grand
I didn't even know who was gonna be here when we played the pool. All right,
This is
So-
rigged. Unmatched.
I don't want any accusations of bias. This was done over a month ago. Blah blah. Tell it to the judge, buddy. Let's get into the next pick for NINERIK. Does he just go for DT1, right? I mean, you can go for the DT1 here. It is much lower approach rate. It is suddenly a reading map in the DT pool. But no, he's going to go with the hidden one instead. Trapped in a Vortex by YZYX, mapped by Raikazin. This is MechTech Hidden 1. It's 237 or something like that, I think. And very much just...
Yep.
How well can you deal with really high BPM tech patterns with Hidden On? It is 9 stars. There is significant mechanical difficulty to this map, both in the bursts and the aim. How well can you deal with the very tech-heavy stuff going on in here alongside some very tough mechanics?
I think what's important to know about this one as well is how difficult some of the specific flowing patterns are. I think flowing is one of those skills that are pretty underrated in difficulty when it comes to adding hidden on top of it. And with this one, bro, it is not only really spaced, but really sporadic in its velocity. And that's the scary thing about this map that I'm going to be worrying about here. A lot of chain miss potential. You do have a lot of the traditional mech tech patterns, which I think both players generally will be okay on. But it is that flow aim that I'm raising a question mark for. Which of these players will prefer that? Who is going to be the one to suffer the hardest? It felt like Welter just barely made it out with Hard Rock on the flow aim, but this one is a bit different. It's a reading test this time.
Yep, that's right. Both players opening up the map relatively comfortably. Identical combos, identical accuracies. And right now, that's going to keep the score rather close. But as you mentioned, Shiba, when we get into the KIs, when we get into those XL, DCL flow patterns, that's where it will get interesting. although both players are relatively evenly matched when it comes to the hiddens, really it's going to be who can hit those XL decel patterns on the hidden mod, who has just that little bit more of hidden comfort that's going to emerge victorious. We already saw a hint just now with that burst, with that flowing pattern, but there's a lot more where that came from, as you can see right here.
Yeah, this is where it starts to hit. This is the bit that you fear right now, and Welter, that combo game is pretty high, but no chain misses here. NINERIK going down on the combo though. But there's the first chain miss there from Welter, and that's going to accelerate the lead in favor of NINERIK here. Any slight trip up on these streams will destroy your score. And even if both players are showing a little bit of a mutual struggle, NINERIK's ACK is the thing to point out here. If you are in that even combo game, an accuracy of 2% is massive in your favor. And as the cap for both scores are starting to go, those big streams not going to lead to any one-sided misses here.
Yep, everybody just equally suffering, equally chain missing on those patterns. And I think that's gonna be, I mean, that has been the trend that we've been seeing for most of this pool. But in particular, those flowing patterns, I mean, if you can hit that and get that advantage of your opponent, it can cause your score to skyrocket. And right now, I mean, despite Welter and NINERIK just overall equally struggling on the map, that accuracy from NINERIK, that now almost 3% accuracy lead, is really just what's putting that scoreline comfortably in their favor. The scoreline, the combos are tied up, so really that's just making the accuracy shine brighter and brighter. More and more flowing sections come in, but it doesn't even matter.
I mean, this is just a mess of a map here, a mess of a test here. Both players building up a little bit more combo now, with NINERIK thankfully not having to deal with that small lead there from Welter. But as we get into the ending here, still a little bit of potential with the chain misses, and NINERIK is missing a little bit, and it's going down very slowly, but is that going to really be enough? I'm not sure if it is. Oh, NINERIK! Oh my gosh, NINERIK, bro, don't let go at the end. Oh my goodness. Did you see that?
Too
the
close.
very, very end, NINERIK's like, yeah, all right, I'll let go. End up missing like 7 times. That went from 22k to 12. If he like go a little longer or miss before, oh my gosh, that could have been disastrous, bro.
Apparently his monitor turned off at the end of the map, but it is blessed because he ended up sniping a very good score on this map. So solid stuff from NINERIK, even with the monitor disconnect. That could have been absolutely disastrous for NINERIK there, but it does manage to hold on to the lead regardless there at the end. And so now just another pick to go for Welter. And I think the pool is running out quite a bit here. We have Arliss Freedom Dive left for Nomad 2. We have an absolutely impossible Hidden 2 for low AR reading. We have the Wowie cosplaying Amanita, but really high star rating for Hidden 3. We have Gimmick Slider Tick following for Hidden 4. You have CS9 Hard Rock 2, and then DT1, which is AIM. It is just AIM, very high BPM, but also high object density. So there's nothing left, I think, for either of these players that's really super favored, but I think it's slightly better for NINERIK. At least the Hard Rock 2, I think, is very good for him, whereas I think most of the rest of these picks are toss-ups in this pool.
Yeah, I'm really curious for what Welter's going to pick into now, because I feel like at this rate, it's very much in NINERIK's territory. You're looking at maybe going into one of those sub-skill sets outside of the raw mods itself, and that's where you're looking into here. Hidden 3 coming through. Mapped by Wowie, you see the mapper's name, and you just already know what's coming at you here. It is just disgusting tech. I don't know what else to say.
It's not even really tech, honestly, for this map. It's, I think, a lot of stream aim in this map. This is Wowie hearing this song without the lyrics and thinking, hey, this kind of sounds like Amanita. I'm going to map a really high star rating version of Amanita for this.
Okay.
So this is a lot more gimmick flow with Hidden. And at 190 BPM, I think that works pretty well for both of these players, honestly. It's really tough to call who's going to win this out of the gate. So let's just get into it and see how things start off in this map.
Yep, gonna jump straight into it. right at the beginning, you already see some crazy patterns start to come in, and you get a feel of what the map has to offer. It's all about this crazy flow. It's all about how these sliders flow into each other alongside all these once again XL decel patterns on hidden. As you've seen before, I mean, we are going straight from that hidden 1 into this hidden 3. So yeah, I mean, just both players puking it out on the hiddens right now as the picks start to become more and more ambiguous as your individual map performances start to matter more and more.
Ooh.
And Welter, in fact, hits that circular pattern going into the KI. That is going to cause the score to move more and more in favor of the right, as Welter is now growing that a pretty substantial combo. Very, very solid stuff from them going into this first quarter of the map, or second quarter of the map, pardon me.
Yeah, a little bit of a solid score lead for Welter, but there goes quite a bit of it. Big chain miss there for him. NINERIK also missing on the same pattern, but not quite as much of a chain miss. And the accuracy now actually in favor of NINERIK. As we continue through this map, that score lead will start to go back in his favor slowly but surely. As we see another couple of breaks come through for Welter, a chain miss plus a slider break. Gonna bring it down now to only 13k, and all that work from the first quarter gone almost during this second quarter of the map for Welter, as NINERIK brings the score lead under 10k in Welter's favor. But there's finally the break from NINERIK, and it will go back up in Welter's favor, just flip-flopping back and forth here for now between about 20k and 10k, as both of these players do their best to combo through as much as possible, not drop any huge chain misses now going into the second half of this map.
Yep, that's right. And as we get into that second half, both players immediately get hit with a rude circular pattern, which does end the combos of both of them. And with that, that scoreline is getting closer and closer. The streams come in, and they're all hitting it. The flow is so intense, and NINERIK is the one to hold through it. With that, NINERIK now has a 200 combo to boot. Going into this last third of the map, they have the steering wheel. They have the chance to bring this point back and take this break point. In fact, that score has now crossed over to the right side. Last quarter of the map. Can NINERIK hold till the very end?
It's another chain miss for Welter to bring the score even further in favor of NINERIK, now up to that 25k mark.
Oh,
that's
my
as big as it ever was for Welter. NINERIK will miss the circle stream, but Welter hits it, actually, and does keep a little bit of extra combo. The accuracy lead still doing NINERIK a little bit of favor here. Both of them hitting that next big XL circle stream, and Welter just slightly ahead in the combo. The lead now back under 20k, but still in NINERIK's favor with just a sliver of map remaining. Another big chain miss there for Welter is going to maybe secure it for NINERIK here. It's just over 14k, the score lead right now. NINERIK will find another miss, but it's another huge chain miss for Welter, and that is going to do it. That'll secure the point, the first break point of the match, coming through on pick number 10. The fifth pick for Welter going NINERIK's way by just 23,000 points, and that is match point now for the player coming from loser's bracket.
That pick was the make or break for Welter. Look how close this was, man. So unfortunate there for Welter. Had NINERIK missed just a little bit beforehand and then Welter gained, that could have been it, man. So close. But unfortunately for Welter, it doesn't come up in any joy, and that in turn is going to give NINERIK match point and DT1 or normal 2 at his disposal. He might not even need to go into Hitogata here. He might not even have to worry about it. He can go for one of these much more signature maps that he's probably a lot more comfy with, a lot more ready to go into. Wouldn't be surprised at all to see him go into Freedom Dive. He is a very strong flowing player. He's played a lot of Freedom Dive before. He has an FC in LAN on an 8-star Glorious Crown at Kel 3. You know, that's one example of a really strong flowing normal 2 prowess, and this one is no exception. We could definitely see an RLS-esque flowing map played once again for NINERIK on this, and this time to solidify the victory for this tournament. But, I mean, he's got so many options. Surely he's going to just... He could go for a bully map. He could go for Hidden 2 as well.
Definitely could. But I think with the relative comfort level for both players on Hidden in this match so far, with how close both the Hidden 1 and the Hidden 2 are, Hidden 3.
I knew it.
I don't think that's going to be the case. It is going to be Nomad 2 after all. We are going to get Freedom Dive by Arliss for NINERIK's last pick, and what is potentially the last pick of this first set of grand finals. Reminder, even if NINERIK wins here, he still has to go through bracket reset to eventually win the tournament. Welter is the player from winner's bracket, defeated NINERIK in quarterfinals, defeated Secret Box in winner's finals to get here. And so NINERIK now has to go through him twice in order to eventually take the win and the badge. What is there to say about this map? It's 222 BPM ultra space streams with some really ridiculous curvature and cornering, right? The flow aim requirement on this is obscene, on top of it being 222 BPM death streams. This is a ridiculous Nomad 2 for a ridiculous pool. It's about the comfort level for these players. It's about being able to keep up with the map, keep up with the flow aim, and find as few chain misses as possible.
Oh, hold on.
And
actually, now that being said, Hunter's actually allowed a potential pick change. Potentially. Hunter calling him Welter. Quite funny. Anyway,
let's see.
Is NINERIK going to be changing his options here? I wonder what it's going to be. I mean, if it isn't normal 2, I mean, considering his philosophy with this one was going for a comfort pick, maybe DT1, no?
I would have to think either Hard Rock 1 or DT1 if he is wanting to change his pick, although we haven't seen a pick change quite yet, so not sure if that's going to happen. And he says, yep, never mind, keep this. So
okay.
We are going to stay with the Nomad 2 after all, which I think is still a good pick for NINERIK. So that is going to be it. Into Nomad 2, Freedom Dive by Psy, mapped by... I don't know how to pronounce that name. It's an Arliss map. Let's get into it. NINERIK's last pick, and potentially the last pick of the first set of Grand Finals.
Yep, a certified hood classic. Ladies and gentlemen, it's XI Freedom Dive, baby. As Dio mentioned, 220 BPM, a lot of incredibly spaced streams, but not to mention a lot of tricky jumps as well in the KI. I mean, overall, this map is going to put your consistency to the test. Both of these players are so incredible at these sort of, mechanics flow aim tests. So I could definitely see this map being one of the most contested when it comes to your consistency. Right now, both players in the lobby are opening incredibly strongly with 99 and SS coming in from NINERIK, and I definitely think that is going to be how we're going to see a bunch of this map play out. But yeah, let's get into Freedom Dive.
I mean, this is just so iconic, man. I don't know. It's so famous. Probably one of the most famous maps in this pool, if not the most famous map in this pool. And NINERIK's hesitation on this map does lead me to believe that Welter might actually be a bit more scary on this than NINERIK maybe expected. But I would still probably favor NINERIK on this one. And the SS doesn't speak any doubt in that so far. That being said, it's pretty easy to act generally until the later stage of this map. This first, I'd say third or half of the map is not really too difficult of a test here. You aren't looking for these raw flowing patterns, these super high absurd spacing to really test you here. But for NINERIK, not too much of an issue. Same with Welter though. Both full combos still intact with brilliant accuracy to boot. We're waiting on that long chain stream to be the first test here for our players.
Yep, and here it comes. Both players getting ready for what's to come. The stream comes in. And does everybody hit it? They both do. And with that, I mean, oh my goodness, but as I say that, NINERIK finds a devastating miss. That is absolutely huge for Welter, not just losing the SS, but losing the FC. Welter now is in the driver's seat to steal this point away. They hit another one of the incredibly spaced patterns, and that score is climbing to the left side very, very quickly. Situation is dire for NINERIK. They need to get a miss from Welter in order to salvage this, and they need it soon.
Oh, it's another miss from NINERIK as well. Welter is running away with this here.
No.
He's only got 100k. Welter, no freaking way, man.
No.
Unreal.
This is not happening.
NINERIK's already accepted his fate at this point. Into the final third now. This is disgusting from Welter. One more third left to go, but it gets even harder from here. How much more magic can Welter pull out of that?
There we go.
Oh, not much.
No, but NINERIK trades it up as well.
I mean, that combo game is so huge, though. You're going to need a lot from NINERIK here.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, this is where the nerves in the map are going to start to kick in once again, with both players being able to access this map relatively comfortably. It's really going to be a war of attrition, a battle of wits. And as of right now, it looks like both players are shook. NINERIK is making that comeback, however. Will they be able to hit this? It might still be salvageable, and it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is the man to do it. NINERIK is just going to continue to push on. Despite finding that miss at the beginning, they will not give up. They will move into this last quarter. 26k score difference and continuing to push.
You gotta be kidding me! How is NINERIK still hitting these?
Oh my goodness!
This is sickening work here. NINERIK, come on, man, please!
No.
He slips up though, and it's still 3k in favor of Welter. Is there enough time?
It's still doable.
Welter says
still
190
doable.
combo, and it's gaining just towards the end, but it gets so absurdly unreal. The chain misses again, traded. NINERIK takes the lead just barely here, but at this rate, it's a flip, it's a back and forth, it's a gamble. Who
It's flickering. It is anybody's game till the very last second. The flurry comes in. NINERIK chin misses Welter, chin misses one at the very end. When the dust settles, Welter will be living through another map. And ladies and gentlemen, we are getting that much closer to the fabled tiebreaker.
Look at the graph.
Holy.
The chain miss at the very end was NINERIK's downfall. NINERIK regretting it in chat, you can see, man. But God,
this is what you came to see. This is the match you came to see, ladies and gentlemen. Holy.
And it really does just come down to that ending, right? It was flickering back and forth, but NINERIK, as soon as that last stream hit, Thanos snapped his score out of existence. He just does not get to combo any of it. And Note Lock takes hold, and it does not let go for the entire rest of that stream for him. And so, breakpoint right back to Welter. Now back to what is an even game state. It is last pick for Welter, 5-6. So if he is successful in this next pick, we go to tiebreaker. And otherwise, NINERIK has to take another breakpoint to avoid tiebreaker in this instance. That said, I don't think you're picking into the hiddens if you're Welter here. Hidden 2 and Hidden 4 are not very friendly maps. They are very practice heavy, and we've already seen some of the low AR go NINERIK's way. And so between Hard Rock 2 and DT1, which one's it going to be? Apparently the Hard Rock 2 CS9 Hitogata. This is not even AR10, actually. This is AR 9.1 CS 9.1, which this map starts at AR 6.5 in order to get that metadata. And of course CS7. This is really, really tricky CS9 kinda ult. Honestly, it's a lot more just basic mechanics CS9, but that in itself is also really tough because the spacing in this map is what gives it the difficulty. And CS9 with spacing is notoriously hard, even among precision players. There are still to this day no Hard Rock FCs on this map. There might be a touchscreen one, but I don't even think there's a touchscreen FC on this with Hard Rock.
Oh, oof, here we go. Ryusei Aika precision map. This is a treat to watch. Osu for ends, as many people like to call it. But let's get into the map. Once again, I believe this map is what, CS9, dear? I'm not too sure on the exact stats, but yeah, definitely very, very tricky. Welter gonna be the first one to find that miss. NINERIK is going to pull ahead very, very quickly with that combo lead. This is a very, very short map, so that score lead can spiral out of control extremely quickly, which is what we are seeing happening right now. NINERIK still holding onto that FC. Finally finds that miss right out of the break, but yeah.
But look at the score lead. The score lead is still 70k in his favor. There's another slider break to come through for NINERIK, though. It's a 100 combo lead for Welter. He finds the miss also, and 2/3 of the way in, both players having reset a 70k score lead for NINERIK means that this is not going to go anywhere quickly, and only a quarter of the map remaining. Welter would have to combo the entire rest of the map and just pray for miss after miss to come through for NINERIK, and that is not what has happened. We've seen a couple of misses from Welter, one there from NINERIK, but that is not enough to bring this back. It's up to 92k now for NINERIK, and this is why we were talking about this Hard Rock 2 pick as a potential NINERIK pick all along. He's going to break point and take us to bracket reset.
Oh, baby. Here we go.
Another game, man. I mean, listen, on one of the stupidest difficult maps in this whole pool, and I've ever seen, not in this whole pool, stupidest pools I've ever seen. I mean, how much fatigue are these guys going to be going through at this rate? Another best of 11. And this was a really close match too. NINERIK managing to win 7-5. I mean, that is a close game, man. How are these guys going to deal with it? How defeated is Welter going to be? Is he going to have a bit more confidence? Is he going to be able to handle the next onslaught of picks? Good thing is that he's got some knowledge coming through, so he might be able to opt into some different bans, maybe leave. If I was to guess, honestly, if he was going to change his bans, I would assume he'd ban out Snor and keep Senseless Massacre in. DT2 is way too stamina heavy, way too scary to deal with. I would 100% not count that as a pick here for Welter. I'd say Senseless Massacre, the No-Mod 5 is way No-Mod 5 is way more likely to be picked here.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, based off the bans from last time, it feels like there's a couple of guaranteed maps for NINERIK in this pool, which is never really the case when you are Welter, right? If you want there to be an easier shot at winning, I think you have to ban out something like Snor, or even something like the No-Mod 6, right? That was a very, very one-sided map between those two players in favor of NINERIK. So there's the DT4 as well, right? Foamy Sky Eternal City, that was 328k to 160k, right? That's a huge score lead there for NINERIK, and it didn't feel like there were any of those super one-sided maps for Welter in this first round of Grand Finals, right? He had some good picks as well, right? Like the Hard Rock 1, the Hard Rock 3, even a couple of the later picks like No-Mod 1 felt really good for Welter, but it felt like there were more quote-unquote guaranteed picks for Eric in this first round of Grand Finals. So I'm curious to see if the bans are going to change for Welter or for NINERIK, right? If you want to get rid of maybe the No-Mod 1, maybe the Hard Rock 1, maybe the Hard Rock 3, leave up the No-Mod 3 or No-Mod 4, because maybe those are slightly more accessible for you, or whether you just want to keep the same bans as NINERIK.
I mean, NINERIK, he's got so much more to his disposal, right? I mean, the only map that I would see to be hard in favor of Welter that want the bans from last set was that No-Mod 1, and from what I remember, that was it, really. The rest were either very close or basically a clear win for NINERIK, so I'm a little worried here for Welter's odds on this. Granted, he won 5 points last, as I count him out entirely, but most of those wins were pretty close, and NINERIK showed a lot of competence on them. So I'm curious if Welter is going to be changing his bans around. I feel like at this rate, he's got nothing left to lose. I would honestly expect Senseless Massacre to be left open this time and have Snor banned, because at least that way you have a mechanical map that you might be able to just outshine on. Granted, if there's anybody here who has a ceiling higher than anybody else in the world, it is NINERIK, so that's something you also have to keep in mind, right? Welter, although a very good mechanical player, although having a really high skill ceiling, I feel like there are very, very, very few players on the planet who could outscale NINERIK in terms of raw difficulty, raw mechanical prowess.
That said, Welter's done it on a few picks already, right? The Hard Rock 1 is just straight up mechanics. He beat him on that. Yep. So it's not like there's areas of mechanics where NINERIK is unbeatable either, right? We saw that in the first match with how close it was, even on Freedom Dive, right? Welter won that pick too. It was very close, but still ended up winning it as well. And it looks like we are going to see probably pretty similar bans for NINERIK. At least the No-Mod 3 is kept the same here. So we may end up seeing a different second ban, but it's looking like the same for now. That said, NINERIK chose first ban and then
What did he open?
ended up banning out the Nomad 3. So I maybe think about him banning out something different from the Nomad 4. And Welter, yeah, left open the DT2, chose to keep Nomad 5 banned, but added Nomad 7 to the bans instead after removing that DT2. So I think that actually does make sense. Senseless Massacre is a lot higher BPM, and I think as the BPM scales, NINERIK's advantage on tapping also scales over Welter. And no, it is just going to be the Nomad 4 here for NINERIK once again. But yeah, going back to the BPM thing, right? Freedom Dive, Welter competed, was able to win the pick. But when you looked at DT3, DT4, NINERIK had a huge advantage on those picks. So I think in terms of BPM scaling, this sort of ban setup makes more sense for Welter than Nomad 7 DT2 does. And it is just going to be a first pick of the DT4 for NINERIK.
Yeah, DT4, I mean, again, clear win here for NINERIK. Last time we saw this played, so absurdly high in the approach rate, which is a particular thing, but generally as well, really high BPM on top of the thing control. If you are the comfortable player with not only this approach rate, but also that super high BPM, you're going to be fine. You're going to be absolutely fine. It's a banger song as well. I have to add that too. Foamy Sky, Eternal City. Absolute banger. And this also looks really, really cool, honestly. It seems, you know, as long as you don't have too high of an absurd difficulty, maybe lower the multiplier a little bit, fixed in laser, you know, you can have a lot more fun in this for a player who's not absurdly as good as NINERIK and Welter. But yeah, still a similar deal as last time. NINERIK won this in pretty convincing fashion previously. And I wouldn't expect this to be an exception, unfortunately. This one, at least from what I remember, was one of the more one-sided clear wins here for NINERIK.
Yep, that's right. NINERIK already opening with a very, very solid combo. Pretty reminiscent of what we saw in the first set. I mean, overall, NINERIK just has that much more comfort on this map. In fact, opening the map with a much better accuracy than we saw last time. We get into the more, you know, alt DT BPM sections of the map. And meanwhile, I mean, there's nothing more to be said. That accuracy lead has already grown to a whopping 7% in favor of NINERIK, and I don't really think that there is any foreseeable way that NINERIK can really lose this point. Once again, it's just that comfort, not just on, you know, the tapping, but in conjunction with the AR 10.7, being able to process these patterns that are just constantly coming at your face extremely, extremely quickly. So, yeah, overall, this is just NINERIK's map.
Yeah, that being said, if NINERIK actually continues the momentum he's on right now, he might actually be able to outshine his previous score. Last time he got 328k with 93 combo, 320 max accuracy. He's at 95 right now, and he's not too far away from out taking this himself here. And man, NINERIK, pretty solid pop off there. Finally does miss, but he might actually be able to outshine his previous score back to back. This could be absolutely insane. He's gonna do it, I think. He's still gaining so much combo. This is so gross.
Average NINERIK.
Oh no, he's gonna actually just barely overtake, I believe. No, he's gonna get about 350, 345k. Wow.
This man needs to be stopped. This man needs to be stopped.
This good on the maps this hard is crazy.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
370 is good. 368 is going to be the closing number. That is so good. How on earth are you able to keep that consistency up on a map like this is beyond me. Over 3 as well. Instantly bounced back here from Welter. Very quickly now. We're going back into that similar pace. This one was one of the more convincing wins here for Welter, despite both players struggling significantly here. Welter was winning by about 40,000 score, and when you compare the scores generally, 100k to 143, that is generally a pretty sizable gap here in 1v1. So, solid opening pick here for Welter. Once again, same opening pick as last time. Once again, a giant flow aim test to be the main callback to this.
Yeah, and again, this is one of those picks that we saw last time around was very convincing for Welter. Yes, did have quite a lot of breaks throughout the map, but who doesn't on this pool, right? It's not like any of these scores are going to be FCs. That's kind of the point of this pool. It's a skill cap test, and both of these players, their skill cap lies in different areas. For Welter, the hard rock ult tech, especially with these really heavy aim control requirements, very, very good for him. And so no surprise whatsoever that he is first picking this after how he looked on it last time around, especially the trademark pattern in this map. These back and forth anti-aim 1-2 ult patterns were extremely good for Welter and NINERIK. I think he hit maybe one of them, but had found misses on basically every single one of those patterns. Ooh. These ones right here at the start, those are common throughout the entire map, and Welter's just so much more comfortable on those, so makes a ton of sense to see this first pick for him, as we see both of them, almost both of them, hitting the back and forth pattern there to start things out, as now Welter, once again, in the lead, in control on his first pick.
Yep, that's right. We're just going to... This map is very, very short, but it is very, very dense in its difficulty. It's very consistently difficult, and the patterns overall just don't stop coming at these players. And, well, they're just going... I mean, as you can see right now, the accuracy lead from Welter is what's keeping that scoreline in their favor, despite the combos being relatively close. But on a map, and on a map like this, on a map as difficult as this, really, it's going to be the combo that really matters. Although I will say, NINERIK is going to be able to bring that scoreline closer and closer to the left side, holding a very, very solid accuracy lead, coming in at 200. Finally goes down. But yeah, I think Welter immediately neutralizes whatever NINERIK had to offer. And yeah, going into this last third, really, this is just once again Welter just showing who's the boss on this map.
Welter has already matched his previous score as well. NINERIK last time around got 107k. Welter got 143k, so both of these scores are already way higher. Huge chain misses for both of them going into the last quarter of the map here, though. Does bring the score lead down to under 25k, but that's still a pretty big margin of victory when the scores are both under 200,000 points for either of these players. And again, these trademark 1-2 patterns come out, and NINERIK just not able to hold on during either of them. Welter able to hit both there, and so just rewarded with an absolutely massive score lead here going into the ending. 80k in his favor now, which is a massive opener for Welter during this bracket reset, keeping things tied up 1-1.
Bro, that pop-up from Welter, man, it's so gross sometimes, those back and forth. Some patterns on this map, sadly, a little bit impossible. However, the still very difficult back and forth patterns just before the death patterns, still so difficult, man, and Welter just so clean with it. Yeah, signature opening pick that from Welter. Really, really well done from him. A good one from NINERIK. Both of these guys improving almost significantly when you compare how difficult the map really was and how low the previous scores really were. A huge boost from both sides. Nicely done. And finally, we're going to be seeing, once again, an appearance of No More 6. I don't know why I said finally. Ignore that. We're once again seeing the putting funfair on the hot blue Walter White map.
Oh, man.
And it's going to be another reading massacre where NINERIK's just going to hope he's the better player.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not too surprising after how this went last time around, right? Last time we saw NINERIK pick this, and we saw 61k to 25k, which is Welter just not really being able to play the map, right? NINERIK said he got about half of his PB. Welter also said he had a bad score, so maybe we'll see them score a little bit higher this time around, but the expectation on this is that both of them are not going to do super well, but NINERIK's just going to do better pretty much throughout the map, because that's what we saw last time around. And I do think it's funny, just as a note, that NINERIK's first two picks are the highest approach rate map in the pool, followed by the lowest approach rate map in the pool.
Yeah, it really just speaks to NINERIK's overall versatility as a player. Because NINERIK has been on an absolute improvement arc in recent years, and I mean, it's just on full display right here in this 1v1 tournament. Went from being, you know, one of the best speed players, one of the best speed tournament players, to just being one of the best tournament players overall. Going back to the map, as you can see, I mean, this is just really what the entire map has to offer. It's all of these incredibly dense, not aim control patterns here and there. A lot of polygonal patterning. You And overall, just a lot of overlaps, very, very dense, very, very tricky to read. Not just tricky to read, in fact, very tricky to aim as well.
I mean, it's just going to be the same deal as last time. It's just both players, unfortunately, suffering a little bit, but NINERIK's versatility is really being a boon to him here. You know, not completely being wiped away by this map, able to at least hit a few patterns, get a little bit of combo here and there. Anything that's slightly easier is going to be very much exposed here by NINERIK. Welter, I mean, look, he's really trying, man. The poor guy, he's really trying to build something, but he just can't keep up. NINERIK has already eclipsed 100,000 score, and with it being a mess of misses here, this score lead is just completely irrecoverable here for Welter. And the map is practically already over. It's just a continuous massacre on these patterns. It's so brutal, so messed up, man. Where are the reading players to hit this, man? Where I need to see the replay. Who did the replay for this on the Macpool showcase? I need to go have a look.
I think Listia got like 75k.
No, are you kidding
Wow.
me? That's insane. That's so funny, actually. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
One of the maps of all time.
This is
Okay,
wait,
never mind. She had like 160k. My bad. This map's
okay, I
still
was gonna
impossible,
say
though.
if NINERIK got 90k over Listia, that's okay. NINERIK might actually be a reading play if that was the case. But no, never mind. I mean, it's basically, we are basically just seeing the fruits of last map with evidence here, as Welter now very quickly going into that number 1.
Aim slow.
Yeah, no surprises here. It's dancing kung fu. Everybody doko kameme. It's just aim. It's just aim slop. There's not much else to say here. It's smaller spacing aim, but still big spacing aim, right? It's like 7 stars during the calm parts, and then it's like 9 stars during the hard parts, right? There's also some 8-star parts somewhere in there. I don't really know exactly where, but maybe the first Ki is like high 8 stars or something. It's just really high spacing, difficult aim at 230 BPM. There's a couple of triples and like a 7-note burst and a 5-note burst. And that's it in this map. So if you can play jumps really well and you don't get mouse drift hell, then you'll have a great time. But if either of those things are true, not gonna be great. Not gonna be great out here.
Yeah, I have a feeling NINERIK should just switch to tablet just to play these maps.
Spontaneously switch to tablet.
NINERIK just sees that be pending. He's like, screw this. I'm just gonna play tablet for this one and this one only.
Opens his third eye and suddenly just get a tablet just materializes. But anyways, going to this number 1, I mean, this is who put aim in my number 1. As you can see, this beginning of the map just gives you a teaser of what the rest of the map has to offer. It only goes up from here. There are a few, more calmer spots, but overall, this is just what the map is. Just a lot of jumps for 2 minutes and 8 seconds long. I will say NINERIK is going to be holding the early lead, but when you get to these large jumps, Welter's comfort on these like really skill cappy jumps does shine that much brighter.
That said,
as we said at the wait,
yeah,
hold on.
that said, it's pretty
Eric,
good for NINERIK right now.
Wait,
It's not quite looking so one-sided for Welter on this. NINERIK is doing pretty well for himself at the moment on this one.
Wait,
and continuing to combo through the section. Welter does find a couple of more misses as well. NINERIK is competing pretty well on this now, keeping the score even at least. This was a lot more one-sided the first time around, and so just keeping it even at least gives him a chance in this, as we're less than 5,000 score lead for Welter, 2/3 of the way into the map, Gammy. It's very, very close. There's a miss from NINERIK, though, right before the end of the burst section.
Yeah, I mean, NINERIK proving all of us wrong. Maybe they somehow, managed to cure mouse drift. Okay, never mind. The mouse. All right, never mind. The mouse drift is coming back. Okay, all right.
Well, it's off the table, folks. It's off the table.
It's off the table. That's it. I mean, NINERIK giving Welter a pretty solid run for their money on this map, but once again, the mouse drift abuse is just too powerful. And yeah, that's gonna be another point for Welter.
Yeah, keeps it tied up 2-2. It was looking good there for a little bit, but I think NINERIK really, what he had to do was amass a big combo at the start and get a really significant score lead at the start of the map to have a chance in that, because as we saw when the end of the map came around, when that last Ki time popped up, it didn't really matter what the rest of the map looked like at that point. It was Welter's map to win at that point, and so unfortunately for NINERIK, just not quite able to keep up. However, DT3 is going to be another story. We saw this last time around, Okoshi no Okoku by Snail's House, mapped by Fonzin. It's the 285 BPM burst pick in the DT pool. Lots of finger control, lots of slider aim control in this map, as well as a little bit of slider reading on AR 10.3. And NINERIK was just on a higher comfort level during the first set of grand finals on this map. Won this 300k to 228k. So had almost a 75,000 score lead to his name on this map, and that's a pretty significant score lead on this pool for sure.
Yep, 100%. With that, let's jump straight into this DT3. This map comes in at 285 BPM, so you already know that it's going to be very, very demanding on your tapping. And right now, we are seeing NINERIK's, slight comfort, slightly higher level of comfort on the map shine, holding that slight accuracy lead for now. But, I mean, as Shiba mentioned in the first set, when this map gets into their KIs, NINERIK's comfort on the speed will be pronounced extremely loudly. And I mean, we are gonna get straight into that. This is a very, very short map coming in at just under 1 minute 30 seconds long. So really, it's all about that combo. It's all about how much you can amass. And for what it's worth, I mean, similar to that number 1 where NINERIK proved us wrong, Welter is actually doing a pretty good job keeping up. Holy!
That was a serious single pop-off there from Welter on that pattern. That's just made it really close now. NINERIK is so slightly ahead, but this combo is getting back and forth. We did say, man, look, when these patterns get a bit more controlly, that BPM is going to be on that comfort side here for NINERIK, but Welter's proving some potency on these patterns. He's taken the lead just towards the very end. There's no way to establish a breakpoint.
Wait. 5k score difference between these two players. Will Welter be able to do it? He does.
No way.
What?
That's a huge breakpoint locked in there for Welter. Ginormous breakpoint. And now he can immediately go into one of his comfort picks. Maybe now you're thinking, okay, maybe the DT2 left open, not too crazy of an idea. If you can hit this consistent spam of finger control at 285 BPM and outshine NINERIK on it, you very well could outshine him on the normal on the DT2 as well. So I'm really, really excited now. This could be a huge comeback here for Welter.
And I feel like that's just unfortunate order of the scores there for NINERIK. Hit above 300k during the first set of grand finals, and Welter only had 228k. So if you reverse the order in which he sets those scores, he wins the map both times. But because he set a slightly lower score this time around, he ends up losing the pick in a breakpoint and is now down that breakpoint versus Welter. That said, we saw Welter give up breakpoints last time around, and this is a map where that is possible, right? It was 260k to 226k last time around. We just saw a bigger score lead on the DT3 get reversed in this bracket reset. So NINERIK on this Hard Rock 1, there are still chances to take back breakpoints throughout the rest of this pool. We'll see if he's able to convert one of those soon to bring us back to an even game state in this bracket reset, as Welter, a couple of breaks very early on into this map that is focused primarily on the jump aim and the super high spacing stream flow aim in Hard Rock 1.
Yep, that's right. Both players equipped with their experience of the previous match, just going in full thrust into this bracket reset. And really, I think this map could just, this Hard Rock 1 could really just be anyone's map. We are getting into the first section of the map. This very, very intense aim, very, very intense flow aim as well. And it is still very, very evenly matched. Well, NINERIK only holding that lead because of that accuracy. But with Welter finding a miss, that is going to give NINERIK some room to make that comeback. And I mean, Dio, you mentioned just now, this could be something that NINERIK breakpoints against Welter. And we are seeing that in progress right now. second quarter of the map into the flow.
First couple of chain misses come through for NINERIK. Welter will match with one of his own, but there's just more of them happening for NINERIK on these first few sets of stream patterns. Welter bringing the score lead now down to, actually in his favor. A miss swings it right back over to NINERIK, but it is flickering back and forth, basically. It's within 5,000 score of Welter at the moment, as both players continue to trade these misses out back and forth with each other during this first majorly difficult Ki section. Welter with another slider break there. NINERIK will trade a miss back, and the chain miss for NINERIK gives a little bit more of that score lead solidly over to Welter's side, now up to 15k in his favor. Just almost halfway through the map, and the chain misses continue to come through, but mostly for NINERIK. A couple on Welter's side, but NINERIK now down to 92 accuracy and a 23,000 score lead for Welter halfway into the map.
Yep, this map only heats up from here on out. The flowing becomes more intense, the jumps become bigger, and with these more and more intense patterns comes the possibility for chain misses, which could swing the score either way extremely quickly. Right now, both players holding very solid combos, rebuilding that score on this slightly, comparatively easier section of the map. But of course, it'll all come down when we get into the next drop. Welter immediately finds a miss, which means that NINERIK now has a massive combo to work with. But the question is, how long will they be able to hold? NINERIK finally goes down, but that is huge damage to the score difference. There is still a quarter of the map left. There is 1k separating these two players, and really it could just be anyone's game. The jumps are so big in this section, the flowing more and more intense by the second, and that scoreline is flickering.
It is just chain misses deciding it at this point. Who chain misses less during this last Ki time? Another one comes through for Welter, swings the score back to NINERIK. And as we continue to find miss after miss for both of these players, it's not even 5,000 separating these players right now. Not even 1k separating them at the moment. It's just flickering back and forth as they continue to trade miss after miss during this last Ki time. The difficulty during this part of the map is just absolutely obscene, but it looks like it's going to be Welter after all, just barely out ahead of NINERIK. Finds a little bit more combo there right before the end of the map and is going to secure the pick for the second time in a row, this time by less than 8,000 points in front of NINERIK. And I think a lot of that is due to fewer chain misses and, as a result, higher accuracy, 1.5% almost in Welter's favor, which is more than enough to explain an 8,000 score lead.
I mean, now NINERIK has gone and whipped out the big guns here. TT2 is now being picked. Now, this was one of those maps that we hugely feared here for Welter, and almost guaranteed this one to be an obvious ban. However, this set now, he has decided to leave normal 5 and Senseless Massacre with this one. And, you know, for me personally, I felt like Senseless Massacre was generally more well-rounded mechanically. Wasn't as heavy on the stamina, whereas this one is literally Deathstream hell. 255 BPM with absurdly long chain death streams. You know, you need absurd stamina. But if Welter is woken up enough to be able to hold on to 255 stamina death streams, then go for it, brother. Absolutely. If he can hit that finger control on the DT3, more than capable on a map like this.
Yep, could definitely, I mean, despite this being NINERIK's pick, I could definitely see this map going either way. I mean, we did just see Welter get that DT3 victory, so really, you can never be so sure. Welter fueled with newfound rage, newfound passion for the match, coming in from the bracket, for the bracket reset. So really, right now, the scoreline is relatively close, all things considered. Welter holding a slight combo lead. But of course, that can all change when we get into the KIs. This is a very long map, 4 minutes long. So it's going to be a war of attrition. It's going to be putting your tapping, gonna put all your focus to the test.
Yeah, if you're Welter here, you are banking on some early high accuracy combo game. And although you have the combo game a little bit in your favor, accuracy not so much, unfortunately. Losing a little bit to NINERIK by about, I'd say, 0.8%. And that slider rate just before the death stream is really brutal. This is NINERIK's territory. Maps like these, patterns like these stupidly long chains of difficulty with the crazy flow aim is just disgusting. And only players like NINERIK can hit stuff like this at a consistent level. This is why I was worried. This is why I thought Scissors Massacre might have been the better option here for Welter. But I respect the man for his confidence. That being said, though, NINERIK is the man to be the one hitting this one. And honestly, predictable outcome to say the least on a map like this. We're already so early in. We're halfway. Okay, not early, but we're halfway through the map. And that section alone has told us how this map is going to end.
Yep, that's right. I mean, despite the chain misses that might be coming in from both players, NINERIK is still going to pull ahead regardless of whatever the map has to throw at them. High BPM flow just really is just NINERIK's game. There is nothing that Welter can do as a response. I mean, look, just plainly looking at that accuracy, that is about almost, what, 20% difference between these two players. And there is just absolutely, there are very, very few tournament players, very few players full stop that can beat NINERIK on this kind of map. And, well, this we're just seeing that on full display right now.
I mean, I think what drives my case even further with this map is that I didn't remember being 10.5. I thought it was 10 or 10.2. I didn't remember being CS5. I thought it was 4.2. And I didn't remember having such absurd turns in its streams. I thought it was just simple stamina. No, it is so much harder than I thought. And I even still thought this was a questionable pick. This was a questionable map to leave open. So just to see that extreme even higher, CS5, 10.5 with some of the craziest turns on these streams is... This is a Dio's Bizarre Holiday Singles map. This is a DBHS Damn Grand Finals DT2 if I have ever bloody seen one. And NINERIK shows why he's one of the scariest players, if not, no, screw that, the scariest player in the world on a map like this. Period, bro. 360k on this is gross, man. It is crazy.
Oh my goodness.
It is genuinely crazy.
This is the kind of stuff that you would see like 1.2Ks being set, like, and you would see replays of people doing it and you just wonder how, but NINERIK is doing that in match, in front of the whole world to see.
Comedically difficult map, just done in such great fashion by NINERIK here. 93, basically 94% accuracy on him. So solid. I mean, look at Welter's 82 score, 1,000 score in comparison. What can you really ask for here?
I'm just lost for words, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, Emrek's reaction was holy shit when he saw this DT2.
That's what I would say, bro.
Yeah. So, you know, it makes sense. And yeah, NINERIK winning that and it not being close also makes a lot of sense, right? Yeah. I think if you are NINERIK, you probably stick with the DTs here. I don't think you're picking Freedom Dive with how it went last time around, which means, you know, Hard Rock 1 is open as a pick, DT1 is open as a pick. Potentially one of the Hiddens is open as a pick as well. Stuff like the Hidden 1 and Hidden 3 were decent last time around, if I remember right. It might have been the Hidden 3 for Welter. I can't quite remember. No, NINERIK actually did win that in a breakpoint. So there are a couple of other options as well here. As for Welter, once again, the pool is now a single DT map, 2 Hard Rocks that are extremely close, right? And in the case of Hard Rock 1, I just don't think you want to pick that. And then Nomad 2, which you barely won last time, mostly off the chain misses from NINERIK right at the end of the map, and the entire hidden pool. And the entire hidden pool, which Welter won neither hidden last time around. Both of those went the way of NINERIK. So none of these are great, and it is going to be, in fact, DT1 for Welter going into some more aim here. This is the Dio map. So I mapped this like a long time ago, actually. This is quite an old map.
Wow.
but edited this to AR 8.5 for this tournament. Why? Felt like it wasn't really hard enough with high AR because the reading on this is very, very tricky with a lower approach rate. Most of the aim patterns in this map double back on themselves with perfect stack overlaps. Never a perfect stack on top of the same note with a just jump timing gap between them, but very often a perfect stack on notes that are doubling back towards themselves.
Oh. Yeah, right off the bat, you can already see a lot of these patterns are very, very confusing to hit, especially if you're not ready for it. But right now, both players out of the gate, absolutely swinging, very, very close, very, very good starts from both of them. But of course, the map will start to heat up when we get to the first miss, which we do see coming from Welter. Gonna give NINERIK some room to build that score more and more towards the left side as we get into the KI.
There's a miss from NINERIK during that first KI time, just on the stacked single taps there, but Welter will find a miss of his own right afterwards, and it's NINERIK with that early combo lead, out ahead just barely. The stream goes a little better for Welter, but he finds another couple of misses right afterwards, and that swings the lead right back over to NINERIK once again. And you can see just all of the tricky sort of reading patterns in this map, like light reading patterns in this map. I don't understand how both of these players are this good at this, because when I tell you, we had to get a no mod replay and convert it to DT for this showcase. Like, this is not easy. Both of them doing so well on this map, but both of them also dropping during the second KI time as well. And it's once again, big chain miss for NINERIK there at the end of that second KI time, but Welter not a huge combo, not really able to take advantage of it there on those stack streams either, as both players make it through, and it's still just a 20k lead for NINERIK.
Yep, that's it. It can still be anyone's game on a map as brutal as this. You know, a chain miss could definitely cause the score to swing. We see both players trade, which is going to favor NINERIK as we get into the last quarter. But once again, 18k isn't the largest difference in the world to make up. But Welter needs to hold through this final section. We need to see some misses coming from NINERIK. Everybody holds through that slow aim section. I mean, what are these players doing? 9k, 8k, NINERIK finding the miss, causing the score to shift in favor of Welter as we get into the last 8 of the map. Ladies and gentlemen, Welter might be able to seal the deal on this DT1.
And I think he's done it. The rest of this is just cooldown. There's a couple of tricky reading patterns at the very end here, and both players miss on it. Welter, a huge chain miss. It almost actually comes back right at the end of the map. NINERIK, if he had not chain missed quite as much right at the end there on a couple of those ending patterns, that last huge misread from Welter would have given him the win. That went down from like 25k to 7k right at the end of the map. It's almost a break point there for NINERIK, but Welter just barely stays ahead just by the skin of his teeth there with a win by 7k, and is able to keep his consolidated breakpoint one more map. 5-3 now in favor of Welter.
I mean, man, thank goodness he popped off on that one section in the final KI. Because if he hadn't, I had a feeling that Seamus would have made him just completely plummet. That was a really good pop-off before the storm came through and led to misses, right? Ended up thankfully keeping him alive by the skin of his teeth, like you said, Dio. And now he's got a lot of room to push now. Hidden one is instantly picked up from the NINERIK. And this one again, huge toss-up. It's just... This is a tough one, man. I don't know how to call this one.
We've got
I'm scared.
We've got 2 picks left for each player, right? Where do you go when the pool is this thinned out? Well, it has to be kind of toss-uppy picks, right? There's just not much left that is really guaranteed. I think for NINERIK, you could maybe make the argument about Hard Rock 2 being a somewhat guaranteed pick, but that's kind of it. And if you are NINERIK, you're going to have to win 2 of your own picks, right? You either have to win 4 in a row, or you have to win 3 picks and then get to tiebreaker, right? So at some point, you're going to have to go through one of these hiddens, because you don't want to pick that hidden 2 again, right? So you have to go through one of these hiddens. NINERIK says, let's go with the hidden 1. And I think that's the correct choice. Last time around, this was only 240k to 228k, but remember his monitor turned itself off at the end of the map, so it was going to be a higher score lead than that for NINERIK. That said, still a very close map, but not any better than the Hidden 3, which was also only a 20k score lead, right? So it's tough to call, but based off of how these went previously, I think this pick makes sense for NINERIK early on. Slide a break for NINERIK. Ack lead for NINERIK, though, keeping the score slightly on his side. Welter just barely ahead in the combo. Not even a 100 combo advantage here to start things off as we get into the 237 BPM mech tech test here in Hidden 1.
I mean, this is 3 minutes long. This is long, man. Got a while left to burn.
That's right, but right now both players opening up the match still very, very strong, basically identical in terms of combo and accuracy. That score lead is going to shift as Welter manages to pull ahead with that combo lead. NINERIK finding that miss, and a very, very, very scary combo lead going into the KI, going into the second third of the map. But I mean, as we are all anticipating, it's gonna be these XL, D-cell patterns that immediately hit these players, and Welter hits all of them. That is going to be a score lead and a half for Welter as we get into the KI.
Oh my gosh, Welter, this is crazy. He's woken up, man. He may have missed, but he's popping off. He may have missed afterwards, but he's trading it equally with the NINERIK, bro. That pop-off is insane. Locking in about 900 combo and gaining. Honestly, as long as he doesn't collapse, as long as he doesn't concede a significant lead in this next third, this map is all but his. It is a back and forth twist and turn, but those misses there have led a window to open here for NINERIK. If he can hold on and Welter miss on these next T-cell sections, look at the accuracy as well. 2.5 in favor of NINERIK. This combo difference, although looks small, could be really big, but he's missed, man. And now Welter just has to keep going. He doesn't even need to overperform to such a crazy degree. He's just got to keep up.
Yeah, but once again, that is easier said than done. We've seen maps like this be decided by just a unlucky chain miss here and there. But Welter absolutely demolishing those two patterns and continuing to hold that combo lead. Welter, what are you doing? Last quarter of the map, some of the most intense patterns are going to come very shortly, and Welter is looking so incredibly strong going into the last quarter.
Just a teeny tiny over him on that giant Axel stream. That could have been a crazy, crazy continuation there. But for Welter, thankfully NINERIK, the slaughter isn't going to be as brutal, but it's still a loss nonetheless, man. 50,000 score this late into the map is practically unattainable at this rate. Both players trading those misses and in turn securing the win here for Welter. But that early map pop-off is genuinely crazy. So well done there from Welter. The guy has woken up. He seemed a little bit off in the first set. Felt like he was so limited in this pool. But now it feels like out of nowhere, NINERIK is the one looking not so versatile anymore. As now Welter's at tournament point, with NINERIK still needing to win 3 picks in a row. And Welter now is the next one on this pick. He can go into whatever he wants. He can go number 2. He can go Hard Rock 4. He does not want to go Hitagata. That one's going to be left. That one's going to be left. But he's going to go Hard Rock 4. He could go number 2. He can win these maps. He looks so much stronger in this second set right now. He could even continue on the hidden streak if he wanted to. Hidden 3's open.
Yeah, this is a huge improvement, by the way, for both players. I just want to point out, NINERIK got 240k last time and won the map in the first set of Grand Finals. This time he improved his score by over 60k and lost because Welter improved his score by 120k.
Oh my
over 120k to get that kind of a performance, that kind of pop-off on the Hidden 1. So it's not just that suddenly NINERIK feels super limited, it's that Welter is popping off. He is playing really, really well right now. And I think after a map like that, you know, Hard Rock 4 is the most similar map to Hidden 1 in the pool. It is another speed tech hybrid sort of map, Ragnarok by Graham versus Camellia. It's what you expect when you see, you know, 230 BPM Camellia in a pool. It is 8 stars no mod, with Hard Rock about 8.76 stars, so actually lower star rating than the Hidden 1. but still just as tricky. Tons of 1/3s in this map, a lot more finger control in this pick as opposed to the hidden one, which is far more just the flow aim and the stream stamina. And now, getting into this, I mean, tiebreaker 1 has been picked by Welter. Can he win on this and secure the tournament? This is tournament point for Welter. We are in bracket reset. Anyone who wins this match is victor of the entire tournament. So pressure on the line for Welter, but he has 2 chances to do it. This is his first chance. Can he convert on this map for the second time in a row? He won this by 16,000 points in the first set of grand finals. Can he keep that score line and win the tournament by winning this map twice in a row?
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. From this point on, the situation is dire for the side for NINERIK's side. I mean, every map from here on is just a constant battle to survive from NINERIK. Meanwhile, Welter coming to this map with that comfort, with that confidence, improving their stance from the last set and coming into this set absolutely swinging. We are seeing a 3-6 lead in favor of Welter right now, threatening the match right now. And I mean, on a map as intense as this, on a map as long and scary as this, well, we'll have to see how it goes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Graham versus Camellia. It's gonna be Ragnarok. Let's see how these players perform. And yeah, in these 5 minutes, perhaps we'll have a new winner.
Getting into the first really difficult section, a slider break pretty much instantly on the aim for NINERIK. Welter still holding on to the FC from the intro. Combo lead in his favor. Ack lead just about even, but huge chain miss for NINERIK on that first stream there. Gives the Ack lead over, gives the score lead a little further over to Welter on top of that. Combo pretty much even between the players as we get into the next little bit of finger control and streams here. Not so much aim in this section, but you get the slider aim right back once again as both players continue to hold their nerve and hold their combo through some of the easier sections here in this map. Not quite as difficult as this gets, especially near the ending. So both players holding the combo during these slightly easier sections, really important to keeping the score close for both of these players. The Ack recovered for NINERIK, and the score slightly less in Welter's favor because of that, now down to about 15k. Still, however, in Welter's favor.
Yep, that's right. It's in these slower sections where your nerves start to climb. And as both players are identical, neck and neck in terms of combo, Welter finds a miss, and that is devastating. NINERIK now holding the combo lead into the next KI, now has the steering wheel. But NINERIK finds that miss, and that is going to equalize the score. In fact, it's going to bring the score more and more in favor of Welter, having that slight accuracy lead. This KI is just as intense as the last. The tapping is in, the sliders are in. I mean, the reading of this map, the aim control required is just so incredibly intense. And there is only a 14k score gap between these two players. I mean, it is still anybody's game as we move into the second half of the map.
And there's a slider break for Welter. It's now going back in favor of NINERIK. He held the combo. He's ahead by 400 score. They're going to see combo for NINERIK, no combo for Welter, and basically even score 2/3 of the way into the map. Again, every point is tournament point from here forwards for Welter. NINERIK back against the wall, has to win 4 in a row to win the tournament, including the tiebreaker. And the nerves going into this section, going into this slow part with that combo must be huge, but both players have broken. Welter found a break right before NINERIK. The accuracy is pretty much even. It is a minuscule 8,000 score lead in favor of NINERIK going into the last quarter of this map and the hardest section in the song.
Here we go as the map comes to its climax. Both players race towards the end, the last quarter of the map. NINERIK finds a miss, Welter finds misses. Both of them are trading left, right, center. The flow aim, the control, the aim control that you need in this section is so incredibly demanding, not to mention the nerves that these players might be feeling. Welter, however, holding that combo lead, finally drops it, but that is damage to the score lead, and that is going to be significant. Chain misses from NINERIK is going to cause the score to move more and more in favor of Welter. 800 score towards the very end.
More misses for NINERIK, more act drops for NINERIK. Welter just holding the accuracy is enough to bring it home here.
Oh my
and
goodness.
He's able to hold just slightly more than NINERIK. Can he hold on to the end? No, he finds a huge chain miss right before the end of the map. There's still a little bit of time. There's still a sliver here right before the end of the map. This can still go either way. Any chain miss can swing this instantly one way or the other. The act continues to drop for NINERIK just a little bit more than Welter. And another couple of breaks come through for NINERIK. Some more misses for Welter as well. The score switching back and forth right at the end of the map. Who's it gonna be right at the end here? More hundreds for Welter, but NINERIK drops one right at the end. Is he spin to win? Is it enough? I don't know. He's lagged out at the end. His client has stopped playing. We just have to check the MP link. And is it gonna be enough? Is it going to be enough? No, it is not. That is Welter by 2,000 points.
He's done it.
Taking the win at the end of the map and at the end of the match. That is it. That is the tournament. Welter 7-3 in bracket reset, just barely able to take it by 2,000 points against NINERIK.
Holy fuck.
That is incredible, man. What a crazy last map to end it on. What a crazy map to win. Welter's your champion. He's done it. He's taken down NINERIK after falling 7-5 in game 1. This guy, yeah, damn straight. This guy played incredible in this second set. You know, when I'm looking at this pool, when I'm looking at the star rating, I would have expected NINERIK, man. His ceiling is so high. This pool star rating is so absurd. But Welter's proven me wrong, and I'm so glad he did with such a great performance like that. What a great way to bounce. The fatigue meant nothing to the man. What a match. What a grand final.
I'm just in complete and utter shock.
Welter,
wow.
3-0 out of group stages against Taldex, Lights Out, and AREC. 6-1 against Zyoto. Wins against Flamesterra by default, and then from there, no further FFs whatsoever in Welter's path to victory. Beats NINERIK in quarterfinals 6-4, beats Peekapone in semifinals 7-1, beats a secret box in winners finals 7-5, and then has to beat NINERIK again in grand finals on a 9.5-star pool, and actually does it. Makes it through the grand finals through bracket reset to take victory. After losing 7-5, he ends up winning 7-3. That is a hell of a match and a hell of a tournament for Welter, who is now the victor in a tournament where skill cap reigned supreme, where you had to be consistent enough to nearly FC every map at the start of the tournament. Group stages started at a 6.0 star pool, might I remind you. So we went through everything from 6 stars flat to 9.5 stars in this tournament. If there was ever a test of which player had every tournament skill possible, from basic consistency to ridiculous gimmick skill sets to obscene skill cap, Welter passed every check along the way against all manner of opponents to make it to here and to finally claim victory.